Those are some pretty good knuckle cracks right there, man. Oh, there's plenty more to where that came from. Oh my gosh. Oh no, no. Not the neck cracks.
You had to make the comment. You had to make the comment.
Well, I had to, but you didn't have to do that either. But anyways, don't pay attention to my voice. It's not as raspy as you think. But anyways, welcome to episode 30 of the NASCAR Pit Stop Show. How about that, Wyatt? We made it to 30. We have made it to 30. But this is actually for the first time since 2018. We have not gone, this far. Well, 2020 we kind of stopped at this point. But now, this year we're taking it all the way, fam. We're taking it all the way.
And the difference between last season and this season, when we got there, we were already in the playoffs. At least down to the first race over the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
We're about 2 races into.
Yeah, we just got 2 races to go in the regular season, which, speaking of, things have just gotten shaken up. Let's talk about the Indy Roval. Holy crap. We got some stuff about the Roval.
I want to say, first and foremost, congratulations to A.J. Allmendinger and Kaulig Racing. First ever win for Kaulig Racing in the Cup Series.
That's actually really cool. And when I think of that, you remember their first win in Xfinity? It came with the 16. And that 16 car was not racing for points. Now, today, they get their first Cup win in a 16 car that is not racing for points.
And you know what? And you know who drove that car?
Ross Chastain.
And now it's AJ Allmendinger's turn to do that. And actually, if you think about it, all 3 of the old Kaulig drivers actually had some good success. Ross Chastain is full-time Cup now, and he's going to go to a really good team next year, Trackhouse, for the number 1. Justin Haley's going to go to the 16. Justin Haley's going to go to 16 full-time next year, and they have a win to go back on. AJ Allmendinger's going another year in the Xfinity Series, but running more Cup Series. Maybe he'll get win this stuff. Kaulig Racing has came through since their first ever season, which I believe was, what was that, 16?
Yes, it was.
Was that before?
Actually.
Was that what 16 was the first ever start?
Yes. And
5 years ago.
You want to know something that's actually so interesting about it? And then Kaulig Racing, when they first came on the scene, nobody knew about them. You had Blake Cook who was driving for them, and they didn't do all that great in the regular season. But then they did just good enough to make it into the chase, and they did phenomenal as a dark horse team that year. Unfortunately, they got eliminated in the second to last round, but who cares? Kaulig Racing was going places, and that was just the beginning. And they kind of sucked for a couple of years, but
they had Blake Cook came back again. Then I believe Ryan Truex came up in there for a year.
And then they got Justin Haley,
and Justin Haley skyrocketed from there.
Yep. And also, they've even gotten the second car with Ross Chastain to drive for them for at least, I think it was 3 races or so.
Actually, it was kind of a mix because when they had the second Kaulig team, they had Elliott Sadler drive that a couple times. So
that's right, they did have Sadler drive in that car. I forgot about that.
They had Sadler. Yeah, they had him drive for a little bit. Ross Chastain did, but it wasn't until 2019 when he decided to have 3 cars in the field with Justin Haley, Ross Chastain in the 16, who won that race, and then AJ Allmendinger in the 10.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool about that, yes, his finish got DQ'd, but all 3 Kaulig cars end up getting 1, 2, 3.
And even if it doesn't count, That's an accomplishment you can't take away. Like, that's a moral accomplishment. Like, how many teams out there can say, "Oh, we had our cars finish 1-2 or 1-2-3 or 1-2-3-4"? Not a lot of them, honestly.
Currently, I think only 3 teams actually. I can clearly think on top of my head because Roush Fenway did that. Hendricks did that really recently.
Yep.
At Dover.
That was their
And
first
then-
time doing that, and then
Kaulig Racing, yes, DQ'd, but still pretty good accomplishment by them.
absolutely.
I think we could throw RCR in there too. I think we can throw them in there too after Austin Dillon won
That's true.
Texas last year.
That is true. They did
So-
get a 1-2. I mean, when I think about Hendrick, however, like going back over to them, just touching on that, 1997, they got a 1-2-3 finish in their Daytona 500, but that was just when they had 3 cars. They never did it with 4 up until earlier this year, and that was their first 1-2-3-4. So, but even then, it's still a great accomplishment by these teams, especially Kaulig Racing, of how far they came from, and now they've gotten their first ever Cup win. Sorry about that. Anyways, but
after getting their first ever Cup win, it's really, really good to see them grown.
Absolutely, man. But it's amazing to see that Kaulig. I mean, within the short time that they've been in Cup, I mean, like the handful of starts that they've had, and just the amount of success that they've managed to manifest throughout the last few races that they've participated in. It just shows how much the team has really grown since they began operations 5 years ago. You know, like,
and we mentioned the team, but how about the driver? AJ Allmendinger hasn't won in 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
His last win was his first win at Watkins Glen in 2014, and he retired from Cup Series 2018.
Yeah.
But he's done some part-time races for like Xfinity until he got his full-time ride this year, first full-time ride. But he's won some couple races even prior to his full-time season back 2020. He won a couple races there, first ever oval win, and now look, he beat himself up Saturday after finishing second to Austin Cindric. He beat himself up, saying he had the good car. He was just upset about himself. It came back the next day. Yes, all the crazy crap happened, which we'll talk about that later, but he came through, underdog everyone, and ended up winning the race, getting his second career Cup win.
It's just insane. Like, the kind of madness that we saw on that green-white checkered, which, yes, we will discuss, was insane. Oh my gosh. So, let's go ahead and move into the grading portion. And we're going to have ourselves some pretty interesting takes on this one. And some might be the same, but our takes may be just a tad bit different. So, Wyatt, if you could give this weekend a grade from A to F, what would it be and why?
Well, before I mention the grade, let's talk about one more thing that may help include the grading of the progress here. The main couple of issues during that race, which might bring my grade, I think our grade, down a bit.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know.
First issue, off the rip Xfinity series, the orange bump, the orange little ramp they added. Yes, they took that away, but I think we've been having issues with bumps the whole damn weekend,
including IndyCar. IndyCar had the same problem. I
didn't see the IndyCar, but I did hear that one car did go to a bunch of cars went Dukes of Hazzard.
Exactly.
Me and my dad were watching at one point, and we kept making jokes. I think it was Corey LaJoy that made the jump, and we were making jokes about it, like, "Hey, Dukes of Hazzard, that jump."
Oh, there was a few of them that did that. I mean, Byron was one. Byron was another guy. I can't even remember all the drivers that
Byron,
did it. Oh,
wait, yeah, Byron did. It was Michael McDowell.
Who was the guy that was driving the 26 in Xfinity? I can't even remember anymore.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
he did the same thing. He did the same thing. His wheels were just like way up in the air. Just like, holy crap, that's some air. Tony Hawk.
The funny thing about that is he actually does have a pilot's license, so that was a kind of a funny joke in itself.
Lift off, boys.
And we talked about that, and yes, the Xfinity Series was pretty good. Congrats to Austin Cindric, who did that sweep in the that Saturday for Penske.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Will Power won for Penske in the Indy Series, and Austin Cindric won for the Xfinity side. And we meant also. Here's my thing. Imagine if AJ Allmendinger didn't win and Ryan Blaney came out and won that race.
Oh, he would have stole that one, kind of like how Allmendinger did. But I mean, no, the win was handed to Allmendinger practically. But
yeah, the win was handed. But if Ryan Blaney won, that was a Penske sweep.
It would have been a triple Penske sweep right there. If you count IndyCar in that mix, then yeah, it would have been a triple sweep.
And going back to talking about like the Cup Series, about the bump issues. Don't forget, we had that curve. I forgot what turn that was, but turn 5, I think it was. That curve that gave almost every single person a problem.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was everyone problem. Everyone had the track had to work on that. It wrecked a lot of cars.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you see when they came off that corner? Did you see how many cars were like in the grass or up against the tire barriers?
I'm not a fan of the guy whatsoever, but I felt bad for Joey Logano. That was a bad wreck for him. I even told him, Ted, you hate the guy, but you can't hate. You know that you can't feel. You have to feel bad for him after that one.
Exactly, because like when they pulled his car out from like the tire barrier, it looked pretty smashed up. That's like the second worst crash that Logano has had this year. When you really think about it, or really third when you count the 500 on the last lap. But the point still stands. You gotta feel bad for the guy.
Especially, and they didn't call the caution prior to where when the Truex had issues and then there was debris about everywhere. They didn't call the caution. That was something that NASCAR had issues with. And I get he was pushed down there, but what the hell was Briscoe thinking?
Yeah.
I think if I see here, we'll probably talk about that later.
So,
but just
I listened to the radio actually to the 14.
I did too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like Briscoe was pissed off about it, but he didn't say anything about going after him and just wrecking him. Which it looked like he did on purpose. I did watch the onboard too, because when they went into I don't even remember what turn it was. I can't memorize the Indy road course. There's so many turns. But
yeah,
when they went into the first, I think it was a left-hander or a right-hander. I think it was the right-hander.
It was a right-hander.
It was a right-handed corner. And Briscoe gets into the back of Hamlin, and Hamlin just his car just went left. First he got it was like a stop-go penalty, I think, for corner cutting, even though he was pushed off the track and he cut the corner to get back on. But then the second time, then he got actually penalized and had to do a pass-through. which
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean it I don't even. It looked intentional. I mean, that's just the thing. But we'll discuss more
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
later on in the later portion of
So
this episode. But the grading. Let's go ahead and grade.
yeah, going back on that topic on the grading and stuff, with all the craziness from yes, the great finishes, yes, Allmending, yes, AJ Allmendinger winning it, but what's going to lower my grade is how much trouble we had on that damn curbing and all the issues of all stuff, even not throwing the caution for the Truex because all that debris was there. And I think I'm going to give this a. I wish it was like something in between a B and a B plus, but I think it's just going to be like a B.
Yeah.
I have to give this a B. The race in the inaugural race was really good, but just there was some issues that they need to fix next time.
Yeah, I would have to jump on that bandwagon because the thing is that you not only want to make sure that the racing is as good as possible, but you also want to make sure that the racing is as safe as possible. And that bump on that little like curb where you just like kind of like to do a little whooshy whoosh, it didn't prove to be safe at all. Like drivers were running off that curb and they were hitting the bump and just doing like you were saying the little Dukes of Hazzard thing. It was the same thing in IndyCar. Like you could throw IndyCar into that. They had the same issue. I think it was like one time that they've had this problem. But Xfinity I think had it once. Cup I think had it multiple.
No.
Oh no, did Xfinity have it multiple times? Did the Xfinity race have like the same issue? Like
they had it with the orange. They had it with the orange curb.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
so and that was taken away. So I'm happy about that one, but that was also stupid. So
yeah, but
the only thing wrong with the curbs, like it was good the first part of the season, first part of the race, but when it got to the end of it, though, that's when it
became an issue, But
so
I mean, they'll probably fix it come next year should they add the road course back in. So yeah, I'm definitely saying a B, like just mainly because of the curbing, like that was just bad. That was just brutal to watch sometimes, but it is meme worthy. I will say that it is meme worthy. Okay, so when we come back, folks, we're gonna go ahead and talk about some of these topics that we've got here, and I actually have them on my screen, and you can't see them because I'm not using Elgato. So stick around, folks. We'll be right back. And we are back for episode 30 of the NASCAR Pit Stop Show. As always, Elijah Leonard, and to my left, that is Wyatt Walker. And yeah, we've added a couple of other topics that Wyatt had suggested, and also that I had thought of at the same time. So first of all, let's talk about the topic that Wyatt had added on here. It is the new NASCAR game that is just.
And sorry to interrupt, but as you can tell, like if you're a really good NASCAR gamer, like you like to play a lot of the games like on the Xbox or PlayStation and all that, you notice about the Heat games were not the best in the world. They got good along the way, but we're done with Heat. The Heat games are over. Now we got the new game that's been worked on for a good amount of years called NASCAR 21 Ignitions. And if you haven't seen the trailer, it's on YouTube. Go look it up. Some other YouTubes will have and stuff, but it looks pretty interesting. The graphics look amazing. I heard a good amount of singers are going. I heard about surprising singers. Wasn't expecting to be on the list. The ones I could name off the top of my head is Imagine Dragons going to be on there.
Yeah, mainstream
Luke Combs.
Stuff. Yep, mainstream shit. Mainstream stuff. Yep.
I can't think of the other names. Oh no, not Elton John.
Elton John.
Who the hell? I don't know why that popped in my head, but it's not.
Elton John is going to be on the NASCAR game, and he'll be singing Rocket Man.
brand new one. No,
Yeah. Yeah, but no, okay.
but
Uh,
the
so
game looks awesome, and they look like they. If you played IndyCar, it looks like they even have like a pet, like a Indy, like a iPad to help customize like your car and get the settings all figured out to try to help you get the track figured out.
I think that's the same thing for F1. I know I've seen some videos of like Daniel Foyles. Like whenever he plays Formula One, he'll like that game contains the same thing.
So I think they got that from there, and and if you haven't seen trailer, like, so recommend looking at. It. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
Looks pretty fun, and when I ever get the game, I will give y'all a update on what I think of it. Maybe when if Elijah gets a 2, then we'll probably race. Probably do like some online races with each other and
Yeah.
see what we think, and then just relay it back.
Yeah.
But all in all, it looks like a really good looking game.
You know, I mean, I'm gonna speak from a musician standpoint here because when you were mentioning like all the people that were all the other singers and bands that were gonna be featured onto the game, I kind of thought to myself, well, you remember everybody knows the SRX game that came out earlier this year, when like they came up with the playlists and all that other stuff. I mean, even in past NASCAR games, they even put in people that we've never heard of before, like, oh, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? I mean, you even had, for NASCAR Heat 3, there was a band called Greta Van Vliet. And their stuff, I mean, yeah, they're kind of like a, think of them as a Led Zeppelin tribute band. They blew up recently. But no, like, I think it's really cool to add on some of these underground artists and musicians and bands, because that I feel like that just makes like the person who's playing the game, who is into the type of music that is on those games, more interested into figuring out who they are, like what other songs do they have, and I think that's a pretty good gateway to other people's stuff. I mean, you could do the same thing with mainstream things, mainstream songs and whatnot, but you know, underground artists I feel like are the best way to go. That's just me, because mainstream, they've already got all their fans. Like you don't need any more. Give them all to the underground people. Like, they need it more. But I'm just speaking from a musician standpoint. So, switching topics here, Indianapolis. So, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I came up on a post that asked, like, which layout of Indianapolis would you prefer? Would you prefer the oval or the road course, or the Indy Roval, or oval or roval? And I've seen a lot of people say oval. But the thing is that, yes, first of all, the pros is that the Brickyard 400 is the most iconic race that NASCAR will ever run, because it is on one of the oldest racetracks to ever exist. And that race is amongst one of the most iconic races to ever run on that racetrack, the Indianapolis 500. It's kind of like the Daytona 500, but much bigger than that. However, the cons to that were people were constantly complaining about the racing on the oval. And now they've gotten road course racing, and people were feel like people were still complaining about it, and part of it could be for a good reason, is because of like some of the bumps that the drivers were hitting, and their cars going airborne and doing Dukes of Hazzard stuff. So, Wyatt, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask you your opinion. Which would you prefer best, the oval or the roval?
I'm going to talk for like two different people. I'll explain what I mean by that. I think it's going to be different for. I'm hoping it's different for Heat 20, Heat 21, NASCAR 21. But for Heat the heat races when we went to the Indy Roval, I have to go with the regular oval because, like, when you're trying to race that damn track, it is hard. And I'm not saying like I know all the races are hard, but that's hard. Like, if you mess up, yes, it's supposed to be like a stop and go penalty, but they just do that barely when you're barely on the grass at some point. So that was just stupid. It's not one of the popular tracks, but just like a viewer. So on that, I prefer Indy, but like on viewer perspective, I cannot talk.
Perspective.
Perspective.
There you go.
I cannot talk.
I thought you were gonna say prescription. I'm like, wait, what kind of medication are we talking here?
I've actually watched the Oval Indy in person before, back in 2017, and not not to try and go off topic, but I was actually on TV. I don't know if you want to go check that out. I can probably have him link link. Put the link in the description, what number in the description. But anyways,
you were on TV.
Anyway, yes, you know this. I've told you about this.
I don't remember at all.
It was during the Austin Dillon interview.
I think okay.
I've told you about this.
I may have to go back and find it.
I know I told you about this when we used to have a messenger group chat on there when we used to have a messenger group chat with all the group before you meant you know who, but anyways.
Yeah.
it was like a different one.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about it later, or when this airs up, he should probably have it in the description or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've seen Indy in person. That's pretty interesting. I got to saw the 5 of Casey Kane win his last race at Indy. But watching the Indy Roval on TV, it's more competitive, more than I've actually seen at the Indy race. So I'm kind of torn, but unless they figure out their crap on the road course, I prefer the oval better because we've seen more races better on the oval than the road course.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean,
right now I'm saying the road course.
The thing is,
oval. I'm sorry.
The thing is that the oval, like racing on the oval. I mean, it's been around for a long time, and people have been used to it. The problem is, I mean, with the racing on the oval, I feel like it's gotten, I mean, progressively worse over the years. And part of the reason for it was in 2008, there were multiple cautions upon cautions because of the type of tire that they brought to Indianapolis, and hence the reason why attendance at the Brickyard had been on a massive decline over the years, over the 10-year span, up until 2020 hit, and then they just eventually ran out of fans. But anyways, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. If you know, you know.
I think you mentioned the year 2020. I think everyone should know why.
Yeah. But
crap year.
But to those that don't, refer to what Wyatt said. But no, like just the racing.
I don't see.
Go ahead.
I don't see why anyone would not know, because everyone I've never heard a single person that like, oh, 2020 was the best year ever. No, it was the worst year ever because of the whole quarantines and all that crap. If anything, everyone should. You may not be a fan of NASCAR, but you should know about all the stuff because it happens in other sports as well.
Yeah.
So.
But no, like, yeah. Because like, when the racing on that racetrack, I mean, as far as Indy goes, I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's good. There were some races where it could have been a whole lot better. I mean, 2017 by far was the most chaotic year for the Brickyard because of the race that could have been, that was almost going into the night, and they were going to call it by about 8 o'clock because the sun was going down. But I think it also is a controversial one because because if you remember, on one of those overtimes there was a crash that happened, but the caution didn't come out until they passed to the overtime line.
That was the if I remember, if you said 2017, right?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, that was Dale Jr.
Well, Hamlin had a problem too.
Oh, Hamlin. Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's like Hamlin was.
That's right.
Like,
It's been a while since I last seen it. It, like I said, it's been 4 years
yeah.
for me. I just remember little bits and pieces.
But no,
of it,
like but yeah, I mean the racing on the oval, I mean it can be competitive. I mean recent racing on the oval have shown that racing on the oval can be competitive sometimes. I mean restarts even prove that. As far as racing on the road course, I mean it doesn't take any high downforce package. It doesn't take aerodynamics. It just takes having a really good handling car to bob and weave through the curves and the left-handers and the right-handers and the hills and all that other stuff, even though Indy really doesn't have a lot of hills, let alone any at all, because it's just a flat surface, but practically. But, you know, it is actually pretty competitive. To your point, it is competitive. I mean, but there are some kinks that they need to work on. I personally do prefer the road course without kinks, without any sort of kinks at all. That counts the bumps. So, but yeah, that's something that we wanted to discuss. But now let's talk about some other news that actually came out, I believe, yesterday. So both Carson Hocevar and Josh Berry, in their respected series, will be back next year full time. For Josh Berry, his first full time season at Xfinity. For Carson Hocevar, he'll be back in the Nice Motorsports truck for his sophomore year. So how about that? Attaboy, guys.
That's pretty good, and I want to point out something pretty good about Josh Berry's. His full-time car is the number 8. That, for Junior, has always been a part-time car.
Yeah.
For the last 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, the last 2-3 seasons.
That last 2 or 3 seasons, it's always been the 8 part-time. And this is the first time seen the 8 full time at Junior Motorsports, and it's pretty good to see Josh Berry. Josh Berry actually had a win this season at Martinsville, and he's the first driver to actually win in the 8 car for Junior Motorsports, the one and only. So that's a great accomplishment, and I do think the way he races, he races like he's an Xfinity veteran.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely.
I'd say he's going to be a rookie. I'd say he's going to be a rookie in the Xfinity Series next year, but he's going to be a damn good one.
Sorry, I had to turn on my fan because it was starting to get hot. But
and Carson Hocevar, he is in the playoffs in the Truck Series.
Oh yeah.
He's currently in the, and he's ran pretty good. He don't have a win, but he has ran pretty good.
He's been really quiet all year this year. I mean, with some top 5 finishes, some of which he coulda, woulda, shoulda won. Carson Hocevar, that is. So, I mean, it's great to see that he is getting another shot next year, and I think once he puts all the puzzle pieces together for the rest of this year and carry it on over to the next, he might get himself a win or two.
Same thing goes for Josh Berry. Just like he's pretty good at the short track stuff, and of all the how many short tracks we have in the Xfinity Series stuff, I feel like he could do pretty good.
Yeah.
And and you mentioned it before. There's been like a few drivers who comes into the Xfinity Series skipping trucks, not doing the best. Josh Berry was part time in the Xfinity. He actually won.
And he also raced
Yes, it
some
was.
truck races too. So
He ran. Yeah, he has raced some truck races, but he's never gone full time. And then, at least on this point of view, he's actually racing like a pretty good veteran in Xfinity Series. So I'm expecting a lot of good things from both Husafar and Josh Berry in their confirmed full time seasons.
absolutely. So now it's time to get to that other topic that we had been alluding to a little bit earlier in the show, the Briscoe-Hamlin incident on that last green-white checkered. Oh boy, a lot of things happened within those first few seconds of that green-white checkered. So, for context, what ended up happening was everybody goes into the turn one, right? So Hamlin, apparently, from my understanding, forces Briscoe off the track. He goes in the grass, corner cuts, gets back on the track in second, and is told that he has to do a stop-go penalty in turn 10, right? So Briscoe is pissed off, so they go a couple more corners, they get to a right-hander, and Briscoe turns Hamlin around, therefore giving the lead to AJ Allmendinger. And yes,
There's been some
Go ahead.
there's been like some controversial stuff on that as well, but from what we currently can figure out, he didn't know about the penalty till like a few corners later, and he was just racing them hard. He didn't mean to turn him,
Yeah.
but even then,
It just looked intentional, however, you know? I mean, you can say that. You can say that you didn't mean to turn him, but at the end of the day, the only person that knows everything that happened is the driver that is sitting inside of that race car, that being Chase Briscoe. He knows exactly what happened, because he saw it, he was on track. And I mean, I'm not saying that he actually did it on purpose. I'm not saying that is 100% the case, but it could have been. It very well could have.
and even then, it's just like I get he was pushed down there, but you're still short. You still cut the corner. Why were you still racing in the first place?
You should have just did a stop and you stopped and then went right from there.
Yes, it would have cost you some spots, but at least it would have gave you like a good top 10, top 15 finish.
Yeah, it really would have, but you know, I mean that's how it is, and he eventually got a worse penalty than what he got beforehand, which was the pass through, and it cost him a really good finish. So, I mean that's that's how it is, but
it's a racing incident, but at the same time, it's like
it's just kind of like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
Why were you
Also, I'll be honest, I was a little bit kind of hoping that Briscoe would wreck Hamlin, because I kind of want to keep him and Harvick winless this season.
So, now this means that Hamlin is in a little bit of a tougher position to get locked in.
Well, no.
Oh, really?
He is locked in to the playoffs.
Oh, he's already locked in.
He's already locked in.
Oh, boy. Well, then he's got nothing to lose.
I can't say that one, because the only thing he can lose is the regular season points.
Well, I mean, other than that.
He's still fighting with Larson on that. That hurts him a little bit on trying to get Larson, but it doesn't take him out of that. It does not affect his playoff hopes. He is officially locked in by points.
Man, how much you willing to bet that he's probably going to get eliminated by round 2? Maybe
I'm
round three.
I'm more I'm more leaning towards round three. I'm giving him more credit. He probably more credit than he probably deserves.
Right.
But I'd say he lasts a little bit longer than round two.
All right. So now let's talk about the incident. Do you think Briscoe was in the right or in the wrong to spin him out, even though he didn't mean it?
I'd say it's wrong because he was racing him for like no reason.
Right.
It was like, yes, he should have known he got the penalty, but he still was racing him, thinking like it was for the win or something like that. When in reality, using a penalty, he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
If it was like if he didn't have the penalty, if he was like right there with him, and he accidentally did it, then that might be more understanding because that's more a racing incident, and he didn't have a penalty.
Right.
That may have been 50-50. That would have been a harder look conversation, but he had a penalty, so I think it was wrong. I don't think it was smart to be racing him anyway, so that's my opinion.
Really though, I mean, just like to your point, if he did not have a penalty and he accidentally took him out, or if he meant to do it because it was the last lap, then fine. However, you got the penalty. You had no idea about it because if you listen to, I think it was the spotters radio, it was like it was gone practically. Like you could barely hear anything that the spotter was saying at all because of just how staticky it was. The radio transmission, that is. And Briscoe, to your point, he had no idea that he got the penalty, but he was still racing Hamlin as if he was going for the win.
Well, here's the thing. Technically, he was in his mind. He was thinking was because he's a rookie in the Cup Series in his hometown, trying to go back-to-back Indy Rovals.
Which, yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
So I can understand why, but at the same time, he should have known he has a penalty, and it wasn't going to.
Right. But it's not the first time that something like this has happened. It's definitely not going to be the last, even if it's between Briscoe and Hamlin again, maybe next year, but who knows. Okay, Wyatt. Not speaking of the regular season, we've got 2 races left, and oh boy, since Kaulig Racing took the win in the Cup race at the Indy Roval, oh boy, this makes everybody else's life to get into the chase who is not locked in on points a much more of a living hell. Maybe not for Kevin Harvick, however, because he's still
maybe. I'd say Harvick might be safe because like I said, the Indy Roval, and it did prove what I've been saying about it for the last few weeks. It was a wild card track.
Yes.
It technically was a wild card track. I think we kind of knew that Larson and Elliott would kind of dominate here and there, but we had Reddick at both stages. Yes, it was pit strategy, and yes, he was trying to get some points and stuff.
Yeah.
But AJ Allmendinger winning the race, he had Chase Briscoe. I called that too. Chase Briscoe was going to try to go up and try to win that race too. Hamlin was trying to get a win. Finally get the win. You had Michael McDowell running up in the top 10 a few times. Yeah, William Byron running up there.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of cars. Ross Chastain was up there a good bit sometimes. Justin Haley got a top 10.
Yes.
In the 77 for Spire.
Yeah. Which is...
Ryan Newman with a wrecked car came home 10th.
Mm-hmm. That's
so.
That's insane.
So wild card was the correct word to talk about the Indy Roval, and it proved my point when Kaulig Racing won. So since that's out of the way, we have one. I'd say one okay race, not going to be all hectic and stuff. and one okay race, and then you got Daytona, the second
Yeah.
original wild card.
So
So
let's talk about the chase picture here. Now now there's 14 spots locked in. Now Hamlin is locked in because of points. So now there are 2 open spots left, and Harvick and Tyler Reddick occupy those 2 spots.
and Reddick, let me pull up my thing real quick. It's right here actually. And Reddick is only up by 28.
Yes.
And then you got Austin Dillon down by 28, Matt Benedetto 145, Busher 146, and then Ross Chastain 176.
That's, man, oh man. I mean, so things are getting a little bit tighter. Things are just a little bit tighter. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, as far as like how many winners that we have, I think we're up to 14.
13 winner.
Oh, 13.
Oh yeah, technically 14. 14. You're right. If you want to count AJ Allmendinger, then 14. But in reality, for the playoffs, it's 13.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say 14 because like you got two more races. Well, technically, you still got plenty of ways to go. But hey, two more winners, and you would have tied like the most winners like of all time, of like all the season. If like maybe one more, 17. Hey, there you go. But yeah, so far this year has just been absolute out of whack, and I love it. Oh my gosh.
And they said 2021 was going to be the best season ever. They were not lying.
No, absolutely not. They were not lying.
It proves it is definitely the best season ever. With some surprise winners, surprise domination, key word I'd say about the whole series is surprise.
That's right. Holy crap. But
I think the surprise started out at the Daytona 500 when Michael McDowell won the race.
Mm-hmm.
And next week when Christopher Bell won.
Yep.
William Byron shocked everyone by winning. Kyle Larson, after the last year of what all happened to him, the whole thing, he came back and win.
Yeah.
Truex getting his. It's not surprising, but Truex finally getting his Phoenix win. It's been wanting for a while. What's next race I'm missing? Atlanta.
Yeah.
The Atlanta race. Blaney out of nowhere passes Larson, gets it. And then out of a craziness, an overhyped Bristol dirt, craziness happened with Joe Logano came out of nowhere and won that race.
Yeah.
But just up till that was the first 7. We haven't seen that since 2014. Which, if you look back, there's some ironics right there too, because I mentioned about AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah.
Who hasn't won since then, so.
But my gosh, man.
And then just more stuff after that. Kyle Busch went winning. He actually won a couple races. Alex Bowman having some surprise wins. Hendricks have a 1, 2, 3, 4.
My gosh, man. Like,
Hendricks dominating the season. Larson, 4 wins in a row if you count the All-Star race.
Yeah. That's just, I don't know, man. That's just completely mad of all the things that have happened this year. It's just like, and we're down to this point, 2 races left in the regular season, and there are 2 spots left to get into the chase.
And to add on to the surprises, a couple of those spots, 2 of the drivers have winless since last season.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin, who's locked in the playoffs, and Kevin Harvick, who had the most wins last season, are literally winless this season. That's another surprise.
That's huge, man.
Eric Almirola getting one. You mentioned about like the playoff stuff. Look at how the playoff picture has changed of all this, especially since Denny Hamlin, who is still fighting for the regular season points, has no wins, along with Kevin Harvick, the two most dominant cars last season. It just shows, even during this, we have Tyler Reddick trying to go for the final spot in the playoffs.
Yeah. That's, oh my gosh, man. Like, Reddick is, I mean, as quiet as he's been all year, he's been, like, competitive, man. But, I mean, chances are he'll probably get the final spot, but, I mean, we only have 2 races left, so we'll see what happens.
I mean, we don't know what happens. I mean, Daytona's like the wild cards. We seen what happens because ask Michael McDowell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michael McDowell could tell you right then and there.
Alrighty, man. Alrighty. So when we come back, we got some spicy predictions for you guys, and I'm gonna explain why. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Why did you crack your knuckles?
Because I can.
We're back. We're back for episode 30 of the Pit Stop Show. And oh boy, Wyatt. Oh boy. Things are going to get a little bit spicier for this week.
Yep.
So, we're looking ahead to Michigan and Gateway. Oh boy. First of all, it's the first race of the chase for the Truck Series. Oh boy. And then, on top of that, I forgot to add on, we've got the Xfinity and Cup races held at Michigan. So, oh boy, what do you think we're going to expect?
Well, I'd say we're going to see more aggression in trucks than both Cup and Xfinity, because it's the first round of the playoffs for the Truck Series.
Yeah.
And we're going to Gateway. Some of the drivers are familiar with it, some are not. And we have a good amount of people in the playoffs who knows that track. I think I got my eye on a couple, but I won't say till later on what will be prediction. And for Michigan, I'd say for Xfinity, it's kind of up in the air because you don't know who all's the best there or the worst. We're just like 50-50 on that one. But Cup Series, it's the penultimate race of the regular season.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the last chances to get in before Daytona. And if there's a different winner, the only driver who could benefit out of that is probably Kevin Harvick, who will probably end up pointing his way in.
Yeah. 100%. Alrighty, man. It's time. It's time for those spicy predictions. So here we go. We give you a driver who we think is going to win. I don't need to explain that. The driver to stay away from is going to be Wyatt. He just gestured himself.
No. Driver stay away from Sean Ard, 100%.
But no, like, in all seriousness, like, the driver to stay away from is the driver who hasn't been doing well the last couple of weeks. The dark horse is the exact opposite. It's 1 point per category, but, however, since the Truck Series has just entered into their chase season, into their chase battle, it is going to be 5 points per category when it comes to trucks. So, Wyatt, choose wisely, because you're up first.
Alright, well, I'm starting off with the big boys, the trucks. And I tried to do this last season. Since it's the playoffs, I'm only going to be using playoff drivers. going to be using playoff drivers, but when it gets to Championship 4, I might talk to you about it, but I think if I choose a driver like Stay Away and end up not being below the below where it's like below the half,
Yeah.
I feel like if it's like last, I feel like that could kind of count. Maybe. But that's for like Final Four and all that. But since it's like the beginning of it, let me pull it up real quick. It's Gateway, so that's a tough track. But my dark horse, let me see. I think I'm going to have Sheldon Creed as my dark horse. Sheldon Creed, I believe, won the race last year. He beat out my driver to win, who I will mention soon after, by bumping him out of the way and winning that race. But my driver to stay away from, I feel like this might be a too easy pick for the playoffs, but I might go ahead and do him anyway. I'm gonna go Christian Nick. Yeah, Chandler Smith. I keep thinking Christian X is still in the 18 when that was Chandler Smith. I'm so used to that. I am so used to that.
Oh my gosh.
But no, Chandler Smith is my driver to stay away from. And my driver to win. I mentioned it, he did good last season. He won earlier at the inaugural race at Coda. I think Todd Gilliland's going to get his second win and his first win in the playoffs.
Okay.
And he was the one who battled Sheldon Creed last year, and Sheldon Creed bumped him and won that race. And Elijah's looking clueless as always.
No,
anyways,
I was listening, but for whatever reason, my door was kind of creaking a little bit, and then like my fan just pushed the door closed.
now we're going to the Xfinity Series at Michigan.
He doesn't care.
Open Sesame. Anyways, my dark horse for the Xfinity Series, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Hemrick. I think Daniel Hemrick's gonna be my dark horse. Yes, I really want him to win. If he wins, it will surprise me, but he's gonna do really good. Honestly, I'm surprised he's not locked in already. I feel like he may end up getting locked in.
Yeah.
Probably. So I think Daniel Hemrick's the safe bet to say he's a dark horse for this race. Driver to stay away from. I'm just going to make some laughs. He's in this race because current playoff driver in Truck Series Austin Hill will not be racing in this car. So Bubba Wallace will be replacing just Austin Hill in the 61, and that is my dark horse.
That's your dark horse. Great.
Dark horse. Try to stay away. Crap. God damn. Bubba Wallace is my driver to stay away from. Daniel Hemrick is my dark horse. I hate when that happens. I hate when that happens.
Well, you said you were gonna make some laughs, so hey, that was a good laugh, man.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, man. That was amazing.
My driver to win. This is going to be a tough one. Tough choice. I think I really can't really think. Maybe this guy, but I think it's a safe bet to go with Elijah's best friend here. I think we're going to Ty Gibbs. My driver to win. Yeah, your best is of best friends, buddy.
You praising that jizz that Ty Gibbs always loves to drink, don't you? He always puts it in his Monster Energy just to make it more juicy.
Anyways, to the Cup Series. I feel like this one's pretty forward, my opinion. My dark horse. He's not having the best season, but this is one of his best tracks. I think he can at least do good here to get him into point his way into the playoffs. I think Kevin Harvick is my dark horse.
All right.
I think that's a safe bet to say. My driver to stay away from, on the other hand, a tougher story. I think I'm going to give it to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I'm not sure. He hasn't really been doing the best lately since he wasn't able to be close in points. I think it's safe to say that he will not be doing the best.
Yeah.
But my driver to win. This one's kind of self-explanatory. Go back a few years ago. He won this race 3 times in a row, back to back to back. He's not been the best here recently, but he's in a really good team, dominating the season, and it would not surprise me one bit if he won here, getting his 4th Michigan win. Kyle Larson. Larson is definitely, every time I see Michigan, he's the first driver that pops in my head, because he winning this race 3 times in a row. The second race of 2016 and dominating 2017, winning it both times.
Yeah.
So no doubt in my mind that Kyle Larson is my pick to win.
How about that? That's actually a really good prediction. But now, it's my turn.
Oh no, run.
Oh, totally. You're going to run with your phone in your hand. Anyways, here we go. This driver who I think is going to win, and I'm going to actually use Wyatt's strategy here and use chase drivers. I'm going to say for my driver to win. Let's see here. I'm trying to think who would be a really good pick. I'm gonna say for my driver to win. I'm probably gonna go with a painfully obvious driver. I'm gonna say John Hunter Nemechek's my driver to win. My driver to stay away from, pretty easily. I mean, I don't even know how well he's gonna do, but I'm gonna choose him. Just mainly because like I literally have no clue. I've never seen him race here before, unless I could be wrong. He probably raced here in ARCA, but I'm gonna say Chandler Smith is my driver to stay away from.
So you agree with me about Chandler Smith?
Yeah. And then Dark Horse. Ooh. Oh boy. I'm gonna agree with your driver to win here, but he is gonna be my Dark Horse. Toddy Olin's my Dark Horse right there. So now moving on over to Xfinity, over on the Michigan side of the weekend. So,
Hey, the irony.
how about that? Man, how interesting is that? We've got a fan who has created a show, a NASCAR fan from Michigan who's created a show by the fan for the fan, and they're at Michigan Speedway. How about that? But it's a driver who I think is gonna win. Now, that's a tough story here because it's just I don't know. It's just, I think it's just more unknown than anything. I'm gonna say for my driver to win, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Allgaier's my driver to win.
I was thinking Allgaier because like it was a mix to me between Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger, because AJ's the only other driver I could think that actually could, besides Cindric, could actually try to compete for a win, because he did surprise me a couple times. So he was the other guy I was thinking. So I do like that. I do like that choice.
Yeah. If I'm a driver to stay away from, I'm actually going to say the prediction correctly this time. Bubba Wallace.
Just wait till this recording's over, man. Just wait till the recording's over.
And then dark horse, it's not Ty Gibbs. Because we already know he's going to get handed another win anyway, because, you know, that's what Joe Gibbs wants. He wants his son to be handed wins instead of working for the wins, but no. Dark horse. Well, still, you get what I mean. You get what I mean. He's definitely jerking off right there, but anyways. So, my dark horse, I'm going to say Allmendinger's my dark horse. Why not, man?
That's a pretty good one.
Now for Cup, the main event of the entire weekend. So here we go. Driver to win, hands down, Larson. Who else can you really think of that has had so much dominance at one racetrack? Larson. I mean, you could also argue Harvick, but however, Kevin Harvick had won every single second race at Michigan. He won the 2018 Michigan 2 race, he won the 2019 Michigan 2 race, and he won last year's, well, he swept both Michigan, technically, 2 part 1 and 2 part 2, if you get what I mean.
No. Part 1 and 2 was the day after.
But you still.
I think the only reason why we haven't really put him in the winner circle, because it would be a fight between those two, is the fact that he is having a bad season.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what that's what I mean. Is like Michigan 2A and then Michigan 2B. He swept them both last year. That's what I mean. But driver to stay away from, man, that's kind of tough. But if I had to choose one, I'm gonna say for my driver to stay away from, I think I might say, I don't know if he's gonna have the same speed. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But I want to say Bubba Wallace. Why not? I'll put him on my driver to stay away from for both weekends. Why not? I can't think of anybody else. Then Dark Horse. Dark Horse. I'm actually gonna say. I think I'm gonna say Chase Elliott's my Dark Horse. Honestly, I think he's my Dark Horse.
That's not bad because he actually came second at that track a good amount of times.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 races in a row, or 4 races in a row. Then he actually finished second at that track at one point.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, I definitely say that Elliott is a pretty good dark horse. So, all right, Wyatt, we have gotten our predictions out of the way. We've had some laughs, but any final words before we get the Michigan Gateway weekend underway?
No, I don't. Let's just hope we have a good race, and welcome to the playoff truck series.
Yeah.
Let's see who wins. Let's see who makes it to the next round.
Alrighty. Well, that pretty much does it for episode 30. We're not in the 20s anymore. We're in the 30s now. Thank you guys a lot for watching. And if you guys liked the video, be sure to give it a like. And if you haven't considered subscribing, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And that about does it for me. On behalf of Wyatt, I'm Elijah Leonard signing out. And we'll see you in the next one.
Peace out.